Hi there, welcome to another episode of Soul Where They Love, where we explore that love is safe, and if it's not safe, it's not love. And in this mini-series, we are exploring why you're still single, even though you're awesome. And today we have the pleasure of having beautiful Dr. Andreia, who the people I'm inviting as guests on the podcast are people that I really respect their wisdom, their good hearts, and because I really want people to benefit from these podcasts. So, Andreia, I really enjoy her, and she happens to be at this time single. So, for now, exactly. So, root causes. So, why are we singles? Like, I was single for a long time before I met my awesome husband. And I also know that one of the reasons I was single is because I needed to learn a whole bunch of things before I was ready to be in a relationship. And from working on myself and, hundreds of thousands of clients, I also know that most of us don't know what love is all about. So what was your experience of love when you were growing up? When I was growing up? When you were growing up, what did it look like at home?
Yeah, well, I think not even at home, but like in the whole community, because I grew up in kind of like Portuguese kind of culture. And so love was more like a duty. It was more like obligatory. So, you had specific roles, and the love was held because of the family or because of needing to work and protect and provide, and it wasn't really this like love of a friendship or a best friend, something where you have similarities in common that really make you work well together, or even this love of intimacy, like having an intimate appreciation for each other. That doesn't exist. Even now when I go back to Portugal, I don't really see that. Maybe in the modern relationships, like in the younger generations, but the older ones are pretty much not very fulfilled, unhappy. I feel sad to say it, and then you see a lot of men looking elsewhere because there is a lack of that deeper connection that I think everyone still wants.
Yes. The way you grew up, the way you saw your parents, your family, your grandparents, aunts, uncles interact with each other may have inspired you to be in a relationship, but also may have inspired you. It might have, because I don't think I really want this. So that's the challenge that we all face, is that most of us have no idea what love should look like. What is love? And I was really striving to find a really good definition of love, and that's why I came up with the idea with the sentence that love is wanting the best for another being while respecting your needs. Love is wanting the best for another being while respecting your needs. And that's why the only way you can have true love is if you have a connection with your own heart. That's why I call this Soul Where They Love, because I believe that through our heart we connect with our soul. And once you connect there, you don't feel alone anymore, which is an amazing feeling. And when you don't feel so alone, then it's easier to connect with another person, because when our heart is close to ourselves and we don't even love ourselves, how can we be open to loving another person? It doesn't work. And when your heart is not open to you, often you're not so happy. And when you're not happy, then you end up with an unhappy person, maybe with another person who's unhappy, or you end up with someone who's happy while you're not happy. Guess what that creates? That creates a sense of, oh my goodness, I'm not safe. I gotta compensate because this person is happy and awesome and I'm not so happy. So then everything becomes a big drama. Oh, look, I said this and they didn't respond to me, or I texted them and I'm not getting a response. And now you're in a case of infatuation, because that is one of the big reasons why we all end up in trouble with relationships, is because we have confused. I'm going to use my famous yin yang. This is the lighter side, this is the darker side. When we don't feel so good about who we are, we end up putting somebody on the pedestal, and now we end up needing them. And when you need someone, you're in a powerless place. You become really attached to how they're responding to you. Everything takes gigantic proportions. So, Dr. Andreia, do you remember times in your life where you were infatuated?
Yes, 100%. I can recall a time when I was infatuated with this really cute boy. And I can tell you, I was like, wow, he's just so amazing. Everything's so perfect about him. But really, he was treating me terribly. Like, absolutely terribly. Like, I was always left behind, never called when he said he was going to call, always late. And I put up with this for such a long time. And obviously, it's because at that time, I had no self-worth, right? I didn't really believe that I could even attract someone else different.
Can you relate to that? Having been in this situation where, we think we can't live without them? Any other example?
I had a chiropractor that I was madly in love with. I had put him on such a pedestal, and he got me to do the craziest thing, like go to naturopathic school. I followed everything he did, but then it ended miserably. So it was just, it was more of like a lesson, because I was following him because I was putting him up on this pedestal, but he wasn't that man at all. And now I can never be with someone like this. But
so what changed? What made you realize the difference?
Just having self-worth and saying, no, I deserve someone that truly, truly does want to be with me and wants to love me as I am, not trying to change me into something else.
Yeah, by learning the same principles that we're talking about right now, that love starts on the inside with ourselves, not from another person. And when we meet someone, the more we feel like something is lacking. So maybe I'm not cool enough. Then you meet someone who's so cool, so now you really need them. Actually, it's pretty good because you learn some lessons. Or maybe so smart and I'm not so smart. Or they have money, I don't have money. Or with them, I'll be able to have the lifestyle that I need. It's like whenever we feel something is lacking and then we find it in someone outside ourselves, then we can, get really infatuated. And that's like, for me, I was 20 years old, came to Toronto. I was like small town girl. And then I meet this really suave guy. He's 8 years older than me. He was worldly. Most of the rock videos that you see in the 1980s, he was the one shooting them. It's like, wow, he was like everything. And for me, it was kind of like, he was opening up to me a whole world that I had never been exposed to before. And that's why I was infatuated with him. But every time one is infatuated with someone, we kind of push them away. Because it's like you're having too much light. It's too much. It has to displace because it's all energy. So when you're infatuated, you're actually pushing them away. So the only way he would be with me is if I pulled away and played the role that I did not need him. So then he would come to me.
Oh my God.
So it was such a painful, for 8 years I was with him.
Wow.
For 8 years I was with him in that game of, because I was infatuated, I didn't want to let him go. So I knew exactly what to do to bring him back to me. And it was shutting down my heart. This is one of the reasons I'm doing this, is because I really want you to feel safe in love. When it's not safe, it's not love. And he ended up asking me to marry him twice. And I really wanted to marry him. But he would always marry me when we had broken off and I was dating somebody else. So then when I was dating somebody else, he would come and ask me to marry him. So you can see the pendulum swinging back and forth. So that's one of the reasons that you probably at some level still, single even though you're awesome. Because in the past, you confuse infatuation with love. If you enjoyed this episode, please like it and subscribe and share it with other people that could benefit from it. And remember, love is safe. If it's not safe, it's not love.
Bye.
Bye.